All right, let's dive into this. Huh? We're looking at Archer-Daniels-Midland today. ADM.
ADM.
Big ag company, right?
Huge.
We're talking oilseeds, corn, all that.
Yeah, global food supply kind of stuff.
Exactly. And for this deep dive, we've got this piece from the Motley Fool. They're usually pretty good with their analysis, so I'm interested to see what they have to say.
Yeah, me too.
They're saying that, well, it seems like ADM stock took a bit of a tumble.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, apparently right after they dropped their fourth quarter earnings report.
I see.
This was, let's see, February 5th, 2025, so pretty recent.
Right.
And revenue, get this, it actually fell.
Fell? Really?
Yeah, by 6.5%.
Wow.
Down to $21.5 billion.
So much lower than analysts were predicting.
Yeah, that's what the Motley Fool is saying. And they're pointing to what they call softer market conditions.
Ah, I see.
What does that even mean for a company like this?
Well, basically, ADM's whole business is built around buying and processing and then selling all these ag commodities, right? So when the prices for that stuff dips, their profits take a hit too.
Like if a farmer isn't getting as much for their crops.
Exactly.
Less money coming in means less profit.
Less wiggle room for sure.
And it wasn't just like a little dip in profit.
No.
The Motley Fool, they break down the numbers, and it's like a 22% hit to their gross profit.
Oof.
And their gross margin shrinking too.
Not good.
Really shows you how much companies like ADM tied to those commodity prices, how vulnerable they are.
For sure. I mean, it's a different game than selling something like a, big brand name product.
Where you can control the price a bit more.
Right.
So it sounds like they're at the whim of the market.
You could say that.
But they're not just sitting back and taking it, are they?
What are they doing?
Well, according to the Motley Fool, this CEO, he's looking at making some serious cuts.
Cuts, like budget cuts.
To the tune of, get this, $500 to $750 million.
Wow.
And they're focusing these cuts in specific areas.
Oh, yeah.
Like they're trying to cut down on using outside transportation.
I see.
By investing in their own fleet.
Oof.
Barges, rail cars, that sort of thing.
That's actually pretty smart.
Right. Get those costs under control long term.
Yeah.
But here's something I thought was interesting. Even with these challenges, they actually increased their dividend.
They did.
Not a huge jump, but still.
Interesting move.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I think it's a way of showing their investors that they're still committed to delivering value.
Even when times are tough.
Yeah, a little reassurance,
That they're in it for the long haul.
Exactly.
But there's another wrinkle the Motley Fool brings up.
What's that?
Tariffs. Sounds Lowe's could make it a whole lot harder for ADM to export.
Especially to places like China, right? Big markets?
That's what they're saying.
Mm.
And, tariffs, they can create so much uncertainty.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, even if they help domestic industries in the short term,
right,
other countries might retaliate with their own tariffs.
And that just ends up disrupting the whole global trade flow.
Makes things pricier for everyone.
Yeah, for sure.
So ADM, it seems like they're trying to walk this tightrope.
They are.
Cutting costs where they can, making those strategic moves.
Right.
Trying to keep their investors happy.
Uh-huh.
But at the same time, facing all these hurdles.
Like tariffs and
who knows what else is coming down the line.
Exactly. And this is where things get really interesting because ADM situation, it kind of gives us a peek behind the curtain.
How so?
How these global forces, they can really shake things up.
Even for a giant like ADM.
Even for them. I mean, it's not just about the numbers, right?
Right.
It's about this whole web of factors, the stuff that affects what ends up on our plates.
And how much it costs.
Exactly. And when a company like ADM, when their profits get squeezed, that ripples out.
To the rest of us.
It can mean higher prices for food manufacturers.
And then for stores, and then, well, for us shoppers.
Yep. All connected.
So something like, say, soybean prices dropping somewhere across the world.
Could end up making your bread more expensive down the line.
Wow. But they're not just rolling over, are they?
No, definitely not. Like, that move to build up their own transportation.
Right, their own fleet.
That's a direct response to those fuel costs, all the logistics headaches.
Trying to take control, be more independent.
Yeah, smart move. And it kind of ties into another thing the Motley Fool mentioned.
What's that?
These big long-term trends like sustainability.
Right.
And all the tech innovations. That's becoming huge for the whole food industry.
Yeah, for sure.
And ADM, they're pouring money into both of those things.
So on the sustainability front, what are they doing?
Well, they're trying to shrink their environmental footprint. That's a big one.
Makes sense.
Sourcing ingredients more responsibly, and they're talking about supporting local communities, too.
So it's not just about the planet, it's about people, too.
It seems like it. And they've got these pretty ambitious goals, I gotta say.
They do.
Producing greenhouse gases, cutting back on water usage, that sort of thing.
So trying to do business in a way that's, well, less harmful.
Exactly.
But what about the tech stuff?
Yeah.
How's ADM using that to keep up with the times?
Oh, they're diving into things like precision agriculture.
Precision agriculture.
It's all about using data, tech to squeeze more out of every crop.
And reduce waste, I imagine.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, they're exploring new ways to process and package food, extend shelf life, make it last longer, less spoilage.
All that makes them more efficient, right?
And it could actually help make the whole food system more sustainable.
So they're trying to stay ahead of the game.
I think so, yeah. But how does all this, the sustainability push, the tech, how does that look to, say, someone thinking about investing in ADM?
Yeah, good question.
Well, any investor, they got to think about the risks and the potential rewards.
Right.
And ADM, they're in a sector that can be pretty bumpy.
Bumpy how?
Commodity prices, they can swing all over the place.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Trade policies, those can change on a dime. Even something like the weather can mess with their profits.
So it's not just like a buy it and forget it kind of stock.
Not really. You got to be okay with some risk. Think long term.
Look past the little ups and downs.
Right. Focus on that long game, the strategy. And with ADM, that focus on sustainability, on tech.
Seems like they're getting ready for a future where that stuff is essential.
Exactly. Like they're betting that doing business sustainably, it won't just be a nice bonus.
It'll be the only way to do it.
Right. But no company's perfect, right?
True.
The Motley Fool article, it did touch on some things ADM could do better.
On the sustainability side.
Yeah, like deforestation, pesticide use.
Those are tough issues.
They are. And ADM, they say they're working on it, but it's a long process.
It's a journey. But at least they're not ignoring it, right?
Yeah, that's the important thing. They're out there setting goals, tracking progress.
And talking about how to improve.
Which is what we want to see, both as investors and as, well, people who eat food.
Transparency, willingness to change, a commitment to getting better.
Those are the things to look for.
ADM's story, it's like a little snapshot of the big picture, isn't it?
It is, yeah. The challenges, the opportunities, all that.
It reminds us that we all have a part to play.
In making the food system better, more sustainable, more fair.
Absolutely. It's pretty amazing to see how a company like ADM, how they're tackling all these global issues, you know.
It is, yeah.
Makes you realize business decisions, they're not made in a vacuum.
Yep.
Commodity prices, what people want, taking care of the planet, it all plays in.
Absolutely. And what's really fascinating about ADM, I think, is that their story, it's like a preview of what's coming for the whole food industry.
A preview, huh?
Yeah. I mean, they're not just reacting to what's happening now. They're actively shaping what food production is going to look like in the future.
That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
But let's bring it back down to earth for a sec.
Okay.
For the everyday investor, what does all this mean if they're thinking about ADM stock?
Well, like with any investment, got to weigh the risks and the rewards, right?
Makes sense.
And ADM, they're playing in a field that can be, well, kind of wild.
Yeah, so.
Commodity prices, they can jump around like crazy.
Yeah.
Trade policies, who knows what'll happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
And even just like the weather can throw a wrench in their plans.
So not exactly a buy it and forget it kind of thing.
No, not really. You got to have a strong stomach for risk, be in it for the long haul.
Look past the little blips on the radar.
Right. Focus on the bigger picture, their long-term plan. And with ADM, they've got that emphasis on sustainability, on tech.
Like they're getting ready for a world where those are non-negotiable.
Exactly. Like they're putting their money where their mouth is, saying that doing business sustainably, that's not just an option anymore.
It's the only way forward.
Right. But, you know, nobody's perfect.
That's true.
Even the Motley Fool, they pointed out a few areas where ADM could step up their sustainability game.
Like what?
Deforestation, pesticide use, those are tough nuts to crack.
No easy answers there.
Nope. ADM, they say they're working on it, but it's going to take time.
It's a process, for sure. But hey, at least they're acknowledging it, right?
That's a good sign.
Yes.
They're not shying away from the tough stuff. They're setting goals, tracking their progress, putting it all out there.
And they're willing to have those hard conversations about how to do better.
Which is what we as investors and as, well, just people who eat food, that's what we want to see.
That transparency, the willingness to adapt, the commitment to keep improving.
Absolutely.
You know, ADM's story, it's like a mini version of everything going on with the global food system, isn't it?
It really is, yeah.
Reminds us that we all have a part to play in making things better.
More sustainable, more equitable, for everyone.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into ADM.
My pleasure.
It's been a really interesting look at, well, at a company that's doing some pretty important stuff.
They are.
And hopefully everyone listening has a better sense now of what's shaping the future of food.
And don't forget, the choices we make today, they have a big impact on the food we eat and the world we live in.
So let's make good choices. Thanks again for listening, everyone.